So the first year that we were here at the market, I had the 50 varieties of tomatoes, and I begged people to buy my plants. Please try a plant, please, please. They're really good. I promise you, they're really good. And people would look at me, all right, I'll buy one.
I'll do you a favor.
I'll do you a favor. I'll buy one. And the next year they stood in line because the tomato plants were productive for the area, and they had true old-fashioned flavor, not like the more modern tomatoes.
So are these what you call heirloom?
Well, heirloom just means that it's something that's been around for at least 2 or 3 generations. It's at least 50 years old. And so families have protected and kept the seeds going for generations, or communities have kept the seeds going for generations. They've selected them for characteristics that are good for whatever environment they're growing in. But they're just plants that have been around a long time, and they're open pollinated, which means that if you know what you're doing, you can save the seed, and the next year you get the same kind of thing. Exactly, from year to year to year to year.
And so you're known to some as the tomato lady, right?
Yeah, I am.
It started. It's you're sharing.
It's an insanity, is what
It's
it
an
is.
insanity.
Yeah, it's
You're
a good
the insane
insanity.
Tomato lady.
Yep.
But so, why tomatoes? I know that there's so many other plants that you have at Silver Heights Nursery, but what is it about the tomato?
Oh, they're just luscious. They're just wonderful. And they have so many different colors and so many different sizes and shapes and flavors. And they're just good for you. They're good for you fresh, they're good for you cooked, they're good for you sun-dried, they're just good for you. But if you take a look at what American gardeners grow, they say 90 to 95% of all American gardens have a tomato plant in them. It's the most commonly grown vegetable plant in a gardener's garden. And so it made sense to me that it would be a good base for my business. So right now we catalog about 300 varieties of tomatoes that can be successfully grown in this area.
300?
300. But I also do things like peppers and okras and things that are a real challenge. And so I've had to learn how to get unusual plants that have longer seasons to make it through here. And so I've taken a lot of coursework, and I've talked to a lot of growers and learned a lot of stuff that I didn't think I'd ever grow up and have to learn.
And over how many years have you been doing
I started doing the tomatoes in '92, and it's 2009. I've been doing it a long time.
And what are you continuing to learn? And what in these years then of learning about growing tomatoes and growing plants here in this, would you define it as the Northeast or the Catskill region, or what is the region?
Well, it's I think of 2 different communities. One of them is I think of my immediate community, which is Sullivan County. We have very cool nights. We have an extremely short growing season. We have, until lately, we have very cool summer days, which means it's very difficult for a lot of plants to live a proper life cycle and produce the fruit that we are looking for from them.
And especially a tomato.
Especially a tomato. But there are plenty of them out there, and the trick is just finding them. Yeah.
These are Amy Gillingham's, by the way.
Oh, we saw her she were good.
She brought these, and she had them in a very beautiful dish, and I put them in this unattractive one. But
oh, they're beautiful.
Help yourself.
And the other community I think about now that I'm involved with the green markets in New York City is people who live in very contained areas and are very limited in their gardening experiences and limited in their gardening space. And so I've had to learn how to teach. I've had to learn, and then I've had to learn how to teach people about how to grow when you have a window that's 4 feet long or wide and limited sunlight. You know, what kind of plants are good. And I have pictures from customers that are growing tomatoes on the 35th floor and inside, and you know, and I've had to learn growing conditions on terraces and rooftops and all the adverse conditions that city people have to deal with. And so it's been a challenge, but it's been a good one. But what really impresses me about my customers in the city is that they are determined to grow something. They're determined to grow something. That's great.
It is great. And what do you think that is, that urge is? What is it for you?
I think it's human. I just think that people are, even when they're disconnected in their daily lives from the earth, they still have urges. and needs and desires that are connected to the earth. And growing fulfills, even if it's a little basil plant, growing something fulfills a real need in people.
And do you have a favorite tomato?
We
We won't tell the others.
Oh, no. I have a bunch of favorites. There's a cute little tomato that's called Ceylon, and it's kind of medium sized. It's about, up to 2 inches across, very ribbed, not quite like an accordion, but kind of ribbed. Red, extremely seedy, highly productive, comes from a really hot part of the country, of the world, and you wouldn't think that it would be good here, but it is wonderful here in a short period of time. And it's a tiny little thing, and it's luscious. It just juices run down your face, and it's delicious, and it's productive like a cherry tomato.
Oh.
And then there's one called Hillbilly that I love because, number one, it's got a great name.
It does.
And it's red, and it's got pink on the bottom and striped throughout the flesh with red. And if you can get the bottom part of the tomato, that's the sweetest. It's the best. Where it's redder.
And what have you learned about traditions throughout the world in regards to tomatoes, and also seed collecting and this knowledge of plants being passed down through generations?
Well, I've learned that even though the tomatoes really came from South America, they've permeated almost every culture out there. And so I've found lovely things from Moscow, and lovely things from Thailand, and from India, and of course South America, and things developed in Spain and the Middle East. It's really exciting to see that they're everywhere. And then people they find interesting ways to use their tomatoes. And so I have customers that share recipes, and I'm a halfway decent cook, and so sometimes I try what they suggest.
You try, and what are some of your favorite recipes?
Well, oh no, don't do this to me.
Because you have so many favorites?
I have a lot of favorites, and what I
okay.
like to do is talk to people and read books and then just kind of put it together. And so my husband will say to me, "Oh, that was really good, do it again." And I go, I can't, because I don't know what I did.
I'm speaking with Trina Pilonero from Jeffersonville, New York, Silver Heights Nursery, and we've been speaking about tomatoes and this idea of heirloom vegetables and all of the years that you've been studying and growing. And I want to thank you for joining me for Trailer Talk.
Well, it's been a real pleasure, Sabrina. Thank you.
Thank you, Trina.